What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Art of War stream. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a super exciting one. The World Championships just happened in Atlanta, run by Games Workshop. And yesterday, Nick did a full video breakdown of all the awesome things that happened there. So please do check that out. Today, Quentin and I are going to go over some of the more interesting lists that performed really well at the championships.
Yep.
So this isn't going to be the normal type of tier list where we strictly rank everything. This is more kind of a collection of lists that we think are very interesting, unique, and should be shared with people.
Yeah, so we really were looking for lists that maybe they weren't strictly like they performed, obviously not just the top 10, but lists that were different. Like me and every other Eldar player had the exact same Eldar list with an avatar and some night spinners. Those are boring.
Hey, you had the avatar of Kane.
I did. But if you want to check out those kind of lists, you can just look at BCP or any of the other people who are going to cover, like Nick just did, like who won, what won. We're specifically focusing on lists that we thought were interesting that also did pretty well. So lists that were, maybe towards the top of the top half, that took some unique, interesting units, or maybe were a faction that we don't see a whole lot.
Yeah, or conceptually they were designed in a certain way to take advantage of weaknesses of the top armies. So
Yes.
we're going to go through a bunch of those, kind of work through what's actually in the list, what worked well in it, what we think stand out about it, and what's unique, and then we'll keep on rolling.
Yeah. All right.
Anything else to say about the criteria?
Just that there were a lot of interesting lists, so it was kind of hard to pick them all.
It was hard. We had an honorable mention list that was as long as the actual list.
I know, yeah. And that also, myself included, there were a lot of very similar Eldar lists. So that formula was honed.
If I had funny pictures, I totally would project them onto Quentin right now. But I did not prep the funny pictures.
My hair is blue, you guys, I promise.
It's blue, it's not green.
It's not green.
But the lighting is making it seem green.
Which is pretty funny.
But before we jump into the list itself and go through all these different army lists, please give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about us. All of that massively helps the channel. Leave a comment below letting us know what you think of the different lists, which one stood out to you the most, or which one didn't we throw in here that you think we should shine some light on. Mm-hmm. All of that is massive. And then if you want additional content, like some of the games in which we did prep work for the World Championships, how we came up with the different lists that we ran, go ahead and check out the War Room in the link below, thewarroom.vhx.tv. There's a 3-day free trial, and you get all the excellent content that we put out in there, including all 3 of the weekly games that we do.
All right. You want to go ahead and jump right into this?
Yeah, so here's our little break screen, but we're going to start off with, and like I said, it's not in any specific order.
Yeah, we just kind of grabbed 10 that we thought were really interesting.
But we're going to go through the list first. So first one is Ludwig Stammler.
Okay, so I really like this list. So this is an Eldar list, and Ludwig Stammler made top 8, I believe. Mm-hmm. I think he came in 7 or 8. But he took a lot of really unconventional unit choices. So if you want to go through it, he took a Way Leaper, which is pretty...
Oh, wow, the Way Leaper with the Phoenix Gem.
I know.
I'm so shocked.
Oh,
I've never seen
an Avatar Kane. I've never seen that before.
This is why I couldn't like the list, by the way. I don't know what else is in here, but it's because the Avatar.
It gets way more interesting at the bottom.
Okay.
There's a Farseer, Fugan, so pretty standard, start. And then here's where it gets really interesting. There's that Troop Master.
Ooh, Harlequins.
Harlequins, yeah. Then a Star Weaver, so there's some Harlequins in here. And then a Wave Serpent. This is Transport Eldar.
Okay, hey, I pointed this out before the event. I was trying to get Quentin on transports.
Yeah. More Hornets, Night Spinners, and then if you keep scrolling down, the thing that makes it really interesting that I personally like about
this... It's not the Night Spinners?
Not the Night Spinners, no, we can skip those. Is this troop unit here. So one thing that Europe has actually been taking a lot of troops, one thing you can really do about them is the Skyweaver, or Star Weaver, Skyweaver with the bikes. Its ability lets troops get inside in the fight phase, but you don't have to fight, you just have to be near it. So your troops kind of exist in this quantum superposition, where they're in the boat or not, depending on whether or not you want them to be, and it's really cool.
Yeah, or whether your opponent commits something to actually deal with them or not.
And they just get inside, it's really cool. And the last really interesting thing that Ludwig took was his Wraithguard unit. What's different about it?
There's 5.
There's 5, not a 10-man, yeah.
I don't know, what's 5?
So 5... And the Spirit Tier can go inside the Wave Serpent. Mm-hmm. So he basically made an really interesting choice to trade damage and some durability for really increased speed on the Wraithguard, as well as a lot of really interesting tricks on the Wave Serpent itself. Comes with you can battle track opponents, you can do random mortals, which is actually really good in the Eldar Mirror.
Yeah, and it's pretty durable as a chassis.
It is, yeah, it is.
Especially with Fate Dice.
It comes with an invuln too, and you get a Bright Lance on it. So I actually quite like this list a lot. I think that the Wave Serpent and Falcons are going to be the kind of the direction that Eldar are going to head in, January, February, or whatever, if we get a nerf, and things like Wraithguard and Night Spinners and the Avatars are all kind of toned down back to a more normal level.
I don't know if it's going to take one more or two more to get Eldar back to
I
normal
think
level.
I think if you do it in one more. I think Phantasm and some Night Spinner and Incarn Changers are going to be pretty fine.
Can you Phantasm into a transport?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
Sadly.
No.
Both,
Is that like a restriction or something?
Yeah, they both say you can make a normal move, but you cannot use this move to embark inside of a transport. I actually thought about that, and then I went and I had a whole cool list idea. I was like, oh, I'm going to Fire Invade and Phantasm in the transport. Then I was like, oh, it's illegal, so...
Good thing it says it, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else that stands out about this one?
Mostly the big changes was that it was the most non-traditional Eldar list that I saw, which is kind of funny, in that it's still pretty traditional, but it had the troops in the troop master pack, which is something I've been seeing a lot in Europe, and then the Wave Serpent with the Wraithguard instead of just taking a 10-man brick.
Now, how many mirror matchups? Do you know if you played any Eldari mirror matchups?
I don't know how many mirror matchups, but I can find out for you right now.
Because I figure, theory-wise, right, the Incarn Triple Night Spinner version is possibly the strongest in the mirror, but maybe that's only going first.
So, he played...
Who did he play?
It doesn't look like he played. No mirror matches so far.
In the meanwhile, Quicks, thanks so much for joining from the War and Bronze. Really appreciate your support and hope you enjoy all the content in there. And then Adrian Ozemek, thank you so much for upgrading to the Worm Gold, which is our full Worm, and that has every single piece of content, video content that we put out.
He played no mirror matches.
No mirror matches.
But
okay.
I think
it would have been interesting to see.
This list is pretty tech to the mirror. I think the troops are actually quite good in the mirror because they kill other elves very well. And the Wave Serpent means that his Wraithguard can't be slowed by enemy Night Spinners.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
All right.
Plus, you can put Farseers and stuff inside the Serpent if you go.
I'm still not 100%. But I am plugged back into the Golden Throne, and
you guys can't
I'm on
see.
Life support.
There's a whole life support system underneath.
There's all gears and pulleys and oils and stuff. So pray to the Omnissiah for me. Okay. So moving on to the next list. Oh my God, who would name their list Anva's Holy Ghost come back to haunt you?
So this was run by a terrible top player. Richard,
really
you probably have some passing knowledge of this list. Why don't you talk about it?
So this is my list. Quinn picked it on here. I didn't pick it myself, but it was pretty different. Now, I will say that Andrew Gagno, who is another member of Art of War and a fantastic player and person, he ran something similar. We didn't actually discuss our list beforehand, but I was kind of involving my ideas over the Crucible Major and the Tampa event that I played as well. And so I've been going more and more heavy towards a transport high OC type of tau list rather than all the damage that I was bringing. Because I found that with all that damage, people were just trying to play cagey, trying to do little trades and try and win close games and not really getting into a damage battle. So I felt like 6 Crisis was enough with the commander to scare people from going into the middle. And I'd rather have more move blocks, more things to wrap people, more OC to control objectives. And that ended up being quite a bit superior. Especially into Aeldari. I didn't play against CSM, but if I was able to play the games in the top 8 against CSM, you would have seen that the list is designed to make sure that their trade pieces are always trading down. And then I just win the late game because I have so much more stuff than they do.
Yeah, this just says we played a practice game.
Yeah, I played a lot of practice games.
Stuff.
Quinn helped me practice the Aeldari matchup, Nick helped me practice CSM, and that was the list archetype I came to.
So what's in this list?
Okay, so we got Anva, obviously. He is the most annoying 65-point model you could possibly go against.
The worst.
Quinn has nightmares about Anva.
The worst. So he's -1 to hit, -1 wounds with a 2 open vulnerable save that you can CP reroll.
I will say against Bellman, went ahead and charged the Incarn with Anva, and then was like, all right. So he rolled all his attacks and everything. And I believe that 2 bodyguards had died to the Flamers by that point on the Overwatch. So it was just Anva himself. And so rolls all the attacks, only rolls 1 wound. I rolled the 1 and he Fate Dice kills Anva. And I'm like, Anva, anything but a 1, my man. I didn't have CP on that. I couldn't have said CP on it. But that game was wild. So Commander and Cold Star. We've got obviously Exemplar the Callion, so Callion activates turn 2, Cyclic Ions, and he lets that unit move 12 base, so with Night Spinner effect, they're still moving 10, and then they get that Fire and Fade for 10 against Night Spinners, or 12 fully. Then I got 5 Breacher teams. These guys are my OC2. They have assault weapons, so they're just a lot of shots. And they can trade up against other armies' trash units and be annoying enough to kill in return.
Yeah.
There's a lot of armies that aren't really teched for bodies, especially these more elite Eldar armies, and I find that they just either struggled to get through the unit, or they had to dedicate all their spinners to try and finish off the unit, in which case there's a lot of other stuff that I don't have slowed down. So really, really love the Breachers. Honestly, would have loved to have a 6th unit in here, frankly. And
additionally, with the Breachers, they roll wounds against units on objective, and they're AP 1 or 2.
They're AP 1.
You
could get them to AP 2.
And so if you shoot something like an Avatar, you can actually force a lot of wounds through.
Exactly, and I did.
Yeah.
I did. Multiple times. Then I have 4 Devilfish here. Devilfish are a pretty durable transport for relatively cheap, and they just require real activation to get through. Then all of a sudden you have the complexity of now these dudes are on the objective. Yeah, they're battle shocked now, but by my turn they're going to be unbattle shocked and score those points. So very powerful there. I'll skip ahead. I have 2 Pathfinder teams. They usually started in the Devilfish to give them a 7-inch scout move so that I projected my threat very early onto my opponent's half of the board to start potentially threatening to wrap their transports or different units or move block, and I would then start some Breachers on the table to then advance up and get into the Devilfishes that would become empty. 2 Broadsides, they were just here to sit at a firing angle and do a bunch of damage, and I like them better than Hammerheads because they have more shots, so they can actually kill like a 5-man squad pretty reliably, and they did fine throughout it. Generally, they would come down near an objective, they'd shoot at and control that firing angle, and then they'd sit on the objective there.
They're 8 wounds. It's just like really a lot.
2-up save, easy to get cover. Yep. And they offer that range profile
Yeah.
because I'm relying on fusion in my lists, and so I need something that's quite a bit longer range, and broadsides do that. So Crisis Battle Suits, I got the 6-man here. This unit, like I said, usually I was running 2 6-mans. I only felt I needed the 1 6-man because with all the Cyclic Ion, you run out of targets where it's amazing against, because it's good into almost every target, but then there are a handful of them, Redemptor Dreadnoughts, the Avatar, where they're minus or half damage, high toughness, minuses to wound. All of a sudden, Cyclic starts to fall off real hard.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if you run pure Cyclic, you are going to roll a bunch of hazardous tests, and you could just roll poorly on that. Now, on average, you're losing, like, with a full squad and the commander, you're losing, like, 2 suits. Sometimes you only lose 1.5, and that's awesome. But then you lose sometimes 3 suits, and it feels terrible to make that trade.
I had one of my good friends playing Tau in the in Worlds, and he sent me 2 screenshots where he lost 5 suits in 2 separate games to the overcharges. He just rolled like a bunch of ones.
Yeah, it totally happens, and then your late game is a lot weaker. So I went with a list that had a lot less Cyclic, enough Cyclic where I still could kill the things that I wanted to, but I ramped up on Fusion, and that's specifically because of those half minus damage type units, and also 2-up save, Armor of Contempt type units.
Fusion's also quite good into things like Chosen.
Yep, it's fantastic into Chosen or Elite Squads, Sword Brethren, that type of thing. And then this is the key thing that you really need if you're playing against Eldar, is 1 Airburst guy. And the reason is because Tau have to resolve their attacks in order to strike and fade. Eldar don't. They just spend CP and strike and fade. But Tau have to resolve their attacks. So that means if you poke out, look at the Wraithguard unit, and then it's like, bye, Phantasm, you don't get to resolve your attacks if you just run regular line-of-sight weapons. So you're stuck there and you lose the game. So you have to run 1 Airburst against good Eldar players, in my opinion.
Plus, it's like 6 shots every time. It kills like a full unit of Swooping Hawks every time you activate.
Well, it's nutty because you'll roll like 6 on the number of shots and then just 6 is to hit and it explodes and it gets awesome. Crisis Battle Suits, I ran a 3-man here. These guys had double fusion Cyclic, so once again more fusion, and they were just going to hold down a flank, kind of like Broadside's 1 flank, Crisis Suits another flank, and then the middle is controlled by the 6-man unit, and then supported by various infantry. And I found like this was enough firepower. I needed more tools, more trade resources. So here's the 2 Pathfinder teams. The key thing here is the Recon Drone. That gives them Infiltrate. So they have Scout 7, they gain Infiltrate. So if they start in the Devilfish, you don't get the Infiltrate, But against like World Eaters or Votan where they want to scout, you go ahead and
You line their whole deployment zone. If they go first, they have to go all their scout moves first, and then you scout backwards.
Yep, back behind a wall.
Or if you're against World Eaters, just backs directly in the open.
Yeah. Or if you go first and they don't have a lot of fly, you just pin them into their deployment zone. You just physically move block all the space and take... You're like, cool, you lose a turn. My army's in the center, and I have enough bodies where I could potentially do it again to you. So that was my plan against some of the other armies, and it really works well against CSM lists, is what I found. All right, and then finally, 2 Tetras.
Yep.
Would have loved to have a third... Tetras are amazing. They're like... People pull their hair out trying to kill them.
They're the worst. Why are they 7 wound Seeks?
Because they're like a piranha.
7 wounds.
But they're fantastic. 2 was enough, but I would have loved to have a third one, obviously. So that's my list.
Do you want to do super chats at the end? Or?
Yeah, we'll do all the super chats at the end, and any questions, we will come back to them. So thanks so much for your support. We will come back to all of them right at the end. All right.
Okay.
Necrons.
So
I can do this.
Yeah, I want to do this one. This list is pretty normal until you get to the end and there's a big surprise.
Ooh, a big surprise.
A real big surprise.
That means there's a big boy. Is it this Raptic?
Maybe.
All right. So we got a Hexmark Destroyer. This is Francesco de Bonaventure's
Maybe
Necrons.
he's Italian?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
But you cannot guarantee. So Hexmark Destroyer, he has Sovereign Coronal. So that means you get basically a 6-inch aura of +1 to hit for any of your different units. And on top of that, you get the second half of the strats if you use it nearby him.
So especially this works on vehicles.
The Lord with the Res Orb, probably going to go in some warrior unit here, or Immortals or something like that. Orokin, same exact thing. He gives that 4-up invuln. Overlord, Hypermaterial Ablator, just going for all the defense on the brick units. Technomancer, 5-up Phenopane. And then the Transcendent Catan with the Sempiternal for 4-up Phenopane. So very durable, relatively fast-moving, annoying thing. It's a tar pit.
Yeah.
And it's very good at tying up enemy resources away from objectives. Then 20 Necron Warriors, so they're almost certainly getting that Overlord plus Orokin, but could get a Technomancer in certain matchups. Ghost Arc to help the Warriors. Reanimators, same thing. Scarabs, Crypto Thralls to go in the Warriors. I guess solo Crypto Thralls. Locust, no, they go in the Lich Guard. Second unit goes in the Lich Guard. Locust Destroyers, and a Monolith for teleportation shenanigans.
So Jack actually played against this list. What it does is if you tag the Necron Warriors, they basically get to be useless. But the Necron, the Monolith can just pull them out of combat and then drop them down.
The only way to basically teleport out of engagement range for Necrons and still do stuff. Not charge, but shoot.
Yeah, so they can basically fall back to the Monolith and then still shoot. And Necron Warriors, I found out, 3 wounds actually do shoot pretty hard.
They'd shoot even harder if Xeris was in here, but yeah.
And then the Monolith also gets all of the strats and stuff from the Sovereign Coronal, so you can pay 1 to be 4 rolls to wound.
Yep, and it has 4 shots with the Death Rays, but it's sustained D3.
Yeah.
So as soon as you start popping off with 6s, it's
roll 2 6s.
It's a lot of anti-tank shots, and then it's T14, like 20 wounds.
Yeah, this thing is impossible to
If you don't have super high AP weapons, like a Fire Prism, you will struggle to chip it down, because it just gets healed back, because he has a Technomancer here to heal the D3 in the movement phase with the Cloak. In addition to the normal reanimation healing.
Yeah, it's weird for my Wraithguard to wound things on 4s.
Yeah. You're like, what? 14? No,
okay.
I don't believe it.
I thought it was toughness 12, and then I was like, what does a Monolith do? And I was like, T14? What?
But yeah, it's a very cool tech piece, and with the Monolith getting that price decrease in the last field manual, I think it is playable. Yeah. It does have some tougher matchups. And
it is also very big.
The terrain, I was going to say, yeah.
And it moves 7, right?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to maneuver it, but it can teleport a Deep Strike in. So that is... You can help get it into the middle of the table. But honestly, you probably just advance it up, because for 1 CP, you can give it Assault on its weapons as well. But very interesting list here. All right. Next up.
So this Orks. Is... I forget... the name, he's from Thailand, I believe. I think it's Yothin something. I am apologizing. I'm going to absolutely butcher this name. So I'm terrible with names, you guys.
While you look it up, I'll go through the list.
Yeah. It is Yothin Suwanpriti, his Orks.
Yeah.
From Thailand.
And this is a very interesting orc list.
Yes.
So, and what did he end up finishing?
He finished pretty high. He went 6-2.
It was very high.
Yeah.
So he did amazingly well, which congratulations on the awesome performance.
Yeah.
And
this event was the hardest event I've ever been to. And there were a lot of really good players who ended up like 5-3, 4-4, just because the field was so hard. Like you're like, oh, pairing 1, that's normally easy. Oh, whoops.
No, it's like
David Gaylor.
WTC, longtime WTC member of a European national team.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
So the quality of opponents was fantastic, and it was great to see a lot of people from the international community. And hopefully next year, Games Workshop puts more emphasis on making sure we can get as many of the top players from other parts of the world, make it as accessible, if even part of their like flight can be paid for or something like that. Have like one big championship event in say some place like Thailand. Yeah, that helps. Get those people here.
I had a lot of really good conversations with players from Thailand and China.
I signed a Tau Codex.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so here's the Orc list. We got the Death Killer Wartrike with the Super Cyborg body.
So this thing is a Fort Bumlopane, which is really annoying.
Yep, and it's quite fast.
Yep.
Captain Badrock, almost certainly going to go in those Flash Gits. The Knob on Smasher Squig. Zodgrog Wartsnaga.
I love orc names, dude.
The orc names are crazy. Yeah. And then we got 2 different trucks. Yep. So not truck spam, which was what we typically see, which is like 5-6 trucks, a lot of stuff inside. Burner Boys, Death Copters, Flash Gate unit, obviously.
So that's going to go with Captain Badrock.
But then a 5-man Flash Gate unit.
Gretchen. So I believe Wartsnaga joins the Gretchen, and they get like every buff in the universe.
Yeah, they get like a scout move and maybe infiltrate.
I think it's like an infiltrate and a scout move, and they get like +1 to hit and wound. And hold on, the list is insane. It's the best buff in the game applied to the worst unit in the game.
Then we've got custom Booster Blaster, Meganobs, so MSU Meganobs. 1 big brick or 2 big bricks, 3 big bricks of Squig Hog Boys. So those things are really durable, really
amazing.
tanky.
They're really
when
good.
you throw -1 to wound on there, it's very hard to get through them. Storm Boys, War Bikes, and that is the end of the list. So a lot of different units, a lot of tech pieces here. So the War Bikes, the Storm Boys, 1 unit of Burner Boys. A lot of, I'm going to try and take every different tool, the Booster Blaster.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because a lot of the lists that we've been seeing are just like dude spam, right? Where you take like 6 trucks, 6 squads of boys, and you just try and flood the table with high OC, relatively like annoying to kill, because you got the invul and the water and units. And this list has a bunch of really interesting things. One thing I really actually quite like is the Grot unit. So Grots are like toughness 2 and do nothing. But Zodgrod gives them Scout 9, +1 to hit and wound, auto advance 6 for 1 turn, and -1 to wound, to be wounded. He gives them like every buff.
All of that.
Yeah.
Super Gots.
Yeah.
For 80 points, like, that's a 120-point unit. That's pretty annoying to kill. It's kind of exactly what I use on Hoth for, honestly.
It's exactly what it is. Because it's like a bunch of guys, right? They just run around there annoying.
You still have to have the amount of attacks to get through them. And it's just it's tools to delay your opponent that let you play your own game. It's very, very strong.
If you have not been chopped by those flash kits, they hurt really badly.
Yeah.
Additionally, I also really like the solo Meganobs. They hit pretty hard in the water turn. They're just like great to fling out there. They're only 60 points. If you want to have them push a button, they're great for that.
And they require some sort of investment to kill.
Yeah. This list didn't have any of the beast bosses, right?
Not that I saw.
Yeah, it was a really interesting choice, but one I actually kind of like because they're very expensive.
The interesting thing here is it can give up 16 on Assassinate,
but
it doesn't give up the normal Bring It Down points that orc lists typically give up.
Which I like. That was one thing that, like, we'll talk pretty soon about Liam's list, but one of the problems it has is it gives it Bring It Down and Assassinate.
Yeah. And that is not ideal.
No.
It's why I didn't run as many characters as I normally like.
Yeah.
All right. So that was the orc list.
Okay.
Then we got Tyranids with the invasion.
So this is Caillou Aurelatana. He and I actually had the pleasure of playing, and he almost beat me. It was very, very good. An absolutely incredible player from Germany. With a list that kind of hails back to the list that we've been seeing more at the beginning of the edition, rather than the like gargoyle spam lists that like John has been running that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah. All right. Starting off with a interesting choice, Mr. Old One-Eye.
So I actually really like Old One-Eye.
It's quite durable.
It's quite durable, but also he gives Carnifex as floor rolls to hit in shooting and combat. So you'll find out later he's got a unit of 2 Carnifexes with all of the shots, which was actually...
Is it the volume of fire gun?
Yeah, it was by far the best unit in his army.
This is very good into Aeldari. It would be good into my Fire Warriors,
Yeah.
too.
Well, so it was an awesome Overwatch threat because he started the game and he was like, I have sustained hits against infantry because I'm an invasion fleet. So I couldn't move any of my aspect warriors like near the unit because Overwatch, it's like 45 shots, 4 rolls to hit with the sustained sticks as it eats any unit alive. But also he can pay 1 CP and give it lethal hits. So like he walked up and shot my avatar and he was like, take 20 saves at AP2, and I was like, oh, this is bad. And then I moved and he Overwatched and did it again.
Yeah.
There's a Brood Lord.
And doesn't it also have the rule where they get closer to you if you shoot that?
Yeah, so Carnifexes have that base.
Yep.
Which is really annoying to deal with.
So when you add on his durability and then all
Yeah.
that, now this
He regenerates a whole bunch too. He hits really hard in combat.
Yep.
There's a Brood Lord, which is a really interesting choice. A Hive Tyrant, a Neuro Tyrant, which is kind of walking around. A Biovore, 10 Gene Stealers, which is a really interesting, unique choice.
Yeah, you don't see people taking Gene Stealers.
No, 2 solo Neurolictors, 1 solo Pyrovore, 2 units of 3 Raveners.
Yep, they have to go back into reserve.
1 Ripper Swarm, and then the unit of 2 Carnifexes, and then I believe 1 Maleceptor and 2 Exocrines, if I remember correctly calling this out. And then, and the Haruspex. That Haruspex killed my avatar in combat. I charged it, failed to kill it, and I died.
Punished.
Yeah, but so he and I talked a lot about his list, and he said the Gene Stealers were actually there for the CSM matchup.
Really?
Because they're pretty good at, like, they scout, they can go out, they can wrap Rhino.
Wrap the rhinos.
They're really good at killing Chosen. So he said that was what he was really teching for with this list, was killing CSM, and it kind of shows.
Yeah. Interesting, because Gargoyles still do the same thing with the speed that they have, but they don't do it immediately from turn 1.
Yeah.
So he was trying to do it, like...
super fast.
Yeah, the CSM are
because the
stuck
Gene
back
Stealers have scout, right? So they move forward 9, then they move 8, then they charge, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Exocrines also are just, like, really solid. I really cannot get over how good that Carnifex unit was. It was really just, like, an outstanding unit.
Were you able to deal with it? Or
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically what happened was I really underestimated his army, so I pushed my Fortunate Avatar forward, and it...
Eldar player.
and he got shot and died. And I was like, this could be bad. So I basically had to reorient my entire turn, and I took a full turn to kill the unit, because it can get Feel No Pain for free from the Hive Tyrant. So I leveled the full Wraithguard brick into it and shot it and killed it. I killed the 2 Carnifexes, but left Old One Eye alive. And then I shot it with a Night Spinner. And I intentionally rerolled successful hits and rerolled my wounds, because the unit only gets to move if you do damage to it. So
you wanted to get a hit, but
not
not do
wound.
damage.
Yeah. So then it was slowed but couldn't move, and then I was able to move back. But it basically totally changed my game plan up, and I had to kind of reorient everything to kill this unit.
Yeah.
It's a really good unit. Really awesome list that I think is actually a lot stronger than it looks on paper.
Yeah, I know John had talked a bit about them, but didn't end up putting them on the table. But it's great to see that somebody else.
Yeah, so Sean Nidden actually brought them to WTC.
Aha.
Specifically as a GSC counter, because on average dice they kill an Overwatch.
The bomb squad comes in and you're
bomb
just
squad
like that.
or like a neophyte squad.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's an awesome tool to have. And then the Gene Stealers, yeah. And then the Ravener, like the mission play on this.
Oh, the Ravener is also super annoying.
Yep.
Because I was like, Raveners, whatever, but like they go up, they're like toughness 5, 3 wounds each, the 4-up save. Like they're not hard to kill, but they win skirmish fights.
They're fantastic against armies like CSM, where they're all about midfield pressure, and they don't really want to be leaving anything in their backfield. They need their Nurglings up front, they need the Rhinos and the pressure up front, and then they want to bring their shooting into those gaps in the backfield. Okay, well, there's 3 Raveners sitting there.
Yeah. Well, also really interestingly enough, that unit has like 21 attacks with twin linked. Like it blends light infantry. Yeah.
All right.
Well, awesome job. I believe he went 5 or 6 and 2 or 5 and 3.
Yeah. All right. Next up.
Okay. So this is kind of a story of 2 lists that are very similar. This list that we're about to display is Valentin Schefter's list. He made top 8. He's from Germany, but it's incredibly similar to a list that beat the one list that beat me, which is Liam Hackett's Australian Necrons. Both of them are quite similar. They have a Catacomb Command Barge, a Chronomancer, a Luminar Xeris, Imhotep the Stormlord. I think Liam did not have the Stormlord, but Valentin did.
He gives +1 CP.
Yeah, which is pretty good.
You just always
Plus, he does random mortals once. So Oracan, a Technomancer, the Transcendent Catan. And then there's 2 squads of Necron Warriors. And then a Ghost Ark, a Reanimator, Crypto Thralls, And then this list had 10 Triarch Praetorians.
Yep.
And guys, I cannot impress to you enough the extent to which how annoying 10 Necron Warriors is. With defensive buffs and Crypto Thralls.
20 Necro.
20, oh my god.
Not 10. 20 Necron Warriors.
And they come back to life. There's a game in the War Room right now, if you want to check it out, where Siegs is running Immortals. And absolutely just like walks all over my tournament Eldar list. Just like beats me like 100.
Just like everything is good. Like Quinn is setting up big brain plays on big brain plays, and I'm like, here, I'll take your big brain play, no problem, and I will throw it right back into you as I control all the objectives again. So this is a very hard matchup for Eldar, and the Triarch Praetorians are tech specifically into things like the Ankarn and the Avatar, because they have 30 shots, and if they're close, in half range, they can get the reroll wounds, and they have a bunch of particle shots, which do dev wounds on 6s, so it's trying to just pump a bunch of dev wounds, otherwise Necrons can struggle to kill those type of things, but the more random mortals from Imatech, the Triarch Praetorians with the dev wounds, you can actually do enough where you will probably kill it.
Plus AP2 full rolls to wound on a big brick of warriors actually will also add up into something like the Incarnate of the Avatar. Basically, this list is just trying to play a very heavy, like board control. The Chaotic and Command Barge give +1 OC to those OC2 base warriors. They're all OC3.
Yep. So now it's like 5 dudes are on the objective, like 15 OC.
I played against Liam Hackett. He went first, and he's like, "Well, there's 60 OC on this objective and 60 OC on that objective," and I was like, "Wow, this list is really good."
And you're like, "All right, even if I slow them down, they're gonna just stay there the whole game."
Yeah, it does actually have some issues into CSM, but I happen to know for the fact that Valentin Schefter beat one of the best CSM players in the States, from the States, at World Championships. He beat Steve Trimble with this list.
I think it's easier to beat CSM than it is to beat Tau or the Space Marine Aggressor Brick armies.
Yes. Yeah, the Aggressor Brick is one of the biggest issues.
Because the thing about the Crisis unit / the Aggressor Brick is that, and I guess 10 Hearthguard with the Vulcanites, is it doesn't matter how you position, if they just can put their unit into one dude, in the 20-man unit, it is just deleted, basically, and you are praying that they either roll like trash or you roll above God tier.
Yeah.
So those matchups are hard because it's really list to list. It doesn't really function, and you have to, the rest of your list has to be amazing. So that's where other tools like the Transcendent Catan and all these random characters and the Praetorians have to carry a lot of the weight. But if you can force it so that they kill one of the warrior bricks, and then the second that you kill their big damage dealer in return, a lot harder with a Crisis Suit unit that strike and fades 12 inches.
Yeah.
But if you kill the aggressors in return and they only have one aggressor unit, then the second 20-man can still win the game for you.
Yeah.
But it's very tricky because of that. But I think CSM, because they have to play a trading game and get close to you, there are things you can do. I always found the practice games against CSM easier than against...
Yeah. I just a lot of the CSM players were transitioning more towards 5-man chosen squads rather than the 10-man chosen squads. The 5-mans don't do it. The 10-mans can do it.
Yep.
It's a little iffy. All right.
But fantastic list here.
Yeah, and amazing performance for Valentin. We top 8 with Necrons, which is something we never...
Proud of you.
The top of my pod was a Necron mirror.
Yeah, when we saw the pods and Quinn was stuck with... Because I was helping him practice, and he's like, all right, I just got to avoid the couple Necron players that are going to be there, and then nope, all in his pod.
All in my pod. Yeah, it was the worst.
All right.
Okay, this is a list that I also had the pleasure of playing against. This is Liam VSL's Death Guard list, which I... absolutely
nobody saw that coming.
No, crazy.
He was winning everything in Europe with CSM. All of a sudden, Death Guard submitted for World Championships. If anybody's not familiar, Liam's been doing amazingly well, winning basically all the UKTC events.
Yeah, back-to-back super majors, just
team
crush.
events. With Team Belgium. So he's been doing fantastic, and the guy is even taller than Quentin.
By a significant margin.
Super tall.
He's also younger than me.
Yeah. But enormously friendly, so definitely go say hello if you see him right there.
He and I had a wonderful game. He ended up going 7-1. His one loss to me.
Yeah.
But with Death Guard in a list that I kind of fell in love with. So what does this list do? So I actually, interestingly enough, a small plug, for the War Room, just recorded a Know Thy Enemy Death Guard and talked a lot about what this list is and how it works. So there's 3 Preachfires here. And it's going to be, and also 2 Thaw Blightspawn. And what's going to end up happening is there's 2 units of Death Guard Plague Marines that are going to have basically sustained and lethal 5s. And then you're going to be -1 toughness, and other attacks are going to be like AP4, and they fight first. And also they all throw a grenade, so you they pop out of rhinos and they take 12. You take 12 mortal wounds, and your army kind of disintegrates. And then you get charged, and then if you try and countercharge, they fight first and kill you. It's disgusting. They're all OC2. They're all going to be in Rhinos. This list doesn't die to Night Spinners. This list hits way harder than it should. It's faster than it should because everything moves like 10 because of the Rhinos. It's just very good. Additionally, Liam added 2 or 3 Plagueburst Crawlers, which are very good at killing things like Hawks and Farseers.
Yeah, those mission tools.
And then also 3 Chaos Knight Brigands. And the one thing this army lacks is a pretty effective like range shooting firepower unit, and the 3 Brigands just kind of solve that for him. So really an awesome, like truly awesome list that I actually really want to put on the table at some point here at the Stream House.
Definitely. Yeah. I know you've experimented with the Brigands yourself in a lot of games.
So it's actually kind of interesting. I've kind of been like trying to figure out a Death Guard list that I've been happy with, and I've kind of been like moving in circles. But I could never kind of get that like exact like puzzle piece unit fit perfectly. And I saw this list once and I was like, this is the list I've been trying to write for 3 weeks. It's like perfect, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So that's Death Guard. And like I said, did amazingly well.
Yep.
Taking people's names.
Yeah.
All right.
The Jack Templars.
Jack Templars.
So this is a list that was run by both our own Jack as well as one of Jack's close friends, Kyle McCord, who ended up making top 8. After you, who had made the spot, unfortunately got sick and had to withdraw.
Yep, but 2 different variants of the list, and both performed super well, so you know it's going to be a really good list.
Yes.
All right, so in it is the Apothecary Biologist with Fire Discipline. This is a Gladius Space Marine detachment run as Black Templars. So it's going to have some unique Black Templar units, but it's using the Gladius rules, the detachment rules. So this Apothecary is going to go inside of the Aggressors, and boy, do they pump out a lot of firepower. Yeah. Disgusting amounts of the firepower that can kill 20 Necron Warriors.
Yeah, so I actually talked to Liam Hackett a bunch after a game. We had an excellent game after he solidly destroyed me. And he was like, he had about all the units that could kill Necron Warriors and the exact percentage-wise of what they would kill them. And like way at the top with like an 88% chance to kill a Necron Warrior brick was the Apothecary Biologist plus Aggressor combo in Gladius.
Yep. Yeah. It is insane amounts of damage. Then we've got 2 different captains here. One with Artificer Armor, and then the other with Honor Vehement. The Honor Vehement guy is, I think it's like Strain 10 AP 3 flat 3. Yeah, bunch of attacks.
Like 10 attacks with plus 1 AP and Lancers. It's crazy.
Yeah, so he is there because he can go into a Chosen unit. He can go into Wraithguard and pick up a good amount of the unit plus all the Sword Brethren attacks. So it's just like a guaranteed, I can trade this unit and make sure that I kill my opponent's key unit in return.
Yeah.
And then High Marshal Helbricht, who's going to be the other guy who goes in the Sword Brethren that we'll get to. We got 3 different Black Templar Impulsors here.
One really important thing to note is that all of the Impulsors have shield domes, not the missile launcher. This is specifically because of something I told Jack. He was afraid of an Autarch running up on him turn 1, popping the Impulsor, and then guys inside get Night Spinnered. The shield dome gives it a 33% chance of that not happening.
Yep, and sometimes you just need that chance.
You do, yeah.
And it's good against other high AP weapons, like Fire Dragons popping out of Falcon or something could have been annoying.
Or Fire Prisms.
Yep. All right, so here's the Aggressor Brick. You know it, you love it. Tons of damage with the Frag Storms. Then unit of Eradicators here. Just to come in, be able to pop a Rhino. Same thing that John was doing with his Space Marines, is just have a relatively cheap resource that is just a complete package by itself.
Yes.
You don't need to support it.
It comes out of Strat Reserves and blows 1 vehicle up.
Yep.
And then maybe it walks over and it does homers or something.
Then we got the Inceptor Squad. This one is 3 Bolter Inceptors. Can just pick up a trash unit, but can also do mission play and move block and all that.
Yep.
And then a 3-man Plasma unit. So same thing. It's just not a lot of redundancy. There's a lot of deploy teleport homers being taken and fixed. And these guys late game are super good.
Yes.
Once they come down your opponent's half and they just kind of control space back there. Land Raider Redeemer. AOC to a save.
This thing is crazy.
It's very durable. It's very hard to interact with if you have short range guns because it's just like, boom, 1 CP, Overwatch, kill you.
Yep.
So it can be very difficult to interact with it. And then on layout number 1 on Games Workshop terrain, if you get first turn, you can move, advance it, and get it into the middle of that terrain feature.
And then it's almost impossible to deal with.
And then it's projecting such threat onto your opponent's half of the board that it's nightmarish to deal with.
Yep.
Then we got 3 different Sword Brethren units. These guys are like Chosen in that they hit supremely hard, and they are supported by characters kind of like Lords.
Jack described this list as Loyalist CSM.
Yep. kind of plays the same way. Aggressive board pressure, and then pinning your opponent back as much as possible. Then we've got scouts, 3 units of scouts, and that rounds out the list. So like a decent amount of mission play, screening your backfield, and like trade resources.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very good list.
And they have that same infiltrate scout maneuver where you can help really pin fast mobile armies back in their half.
Yeah, World Leaders Votan specifically.
Yeah.
This is a list that I believe Jack went 6-1-1, and then Kyle McCord went I don't know his exact record, but he went 4-1 in the pod and then was up into the bracket. Yep.
All right. So really fantastic Space Marine list. If you've been looking for Space Marine ideas, this is one of the archetypes that's emerging. That's really strong. Yeah. And it fits the aggressive playstyle. So if you're
cannot express how much damage this list does. So if you like punching things in the face, those captains will flip anything over.
Yes, they will. All right. Next up, we got 2 more lists here.
Okay. So these are the lists we kind of could not put on here. These are 2 lists in the finals. This is my personal favorite list of the event. This is John's Ultramarine Vanguard Spearhead, a list that I played against once and then immediately wanted to go out and buy the models for. Holy cow, it is fun.
It's a fun, because the detachment itself just has all the tools. It's a toolbox type of detachment. It's not about pure damage. It's about being able to operate efficiently in a lot of different scenarios, and it's a mobility thing.
Yeah.
The ability to go back into reserve and kind of chip away at your opponent's screens and their cheap resources, then late game kind of dominate them, plays how old Deathwatch did.
Yes.
Which was a very popular playstyle at the beginning of 10th.
Yeah. So the Apothecary Biologist is Blade Driven Deep, which allows its unit to infiltrate. There's Marnia's Calgar, and you guys, I cannot express to you how good Marnia's Calgar is. Holy cow.
Advance and shoot, fall back, shoot.
Advance and charge, fall back, charge.
Every rule that you could want.
He hits like a truck. And sure, he's 185 points, but the important thing is he comes and glues 2 Custodian Guard to the front of the unit. So those aggressors, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to bunch AP4, damage 3 should kill all the aggressors. Well, there's 2 dudes, 4 pinballs who stand in the front and take all the damage first.
And if you try and, pick him out, he has a 4 of Pain when they're alive.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's also like 6 wounds, toughness 6, 2 up, 4 up.
Our Ventress is really here to give that deep strike to the Centurion Devastators, which allows them to be as mobile as they are.
He's also here to kill rhinos.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently.
Didn't know that about him. Then we have the fabled Marine Aggressor Brick. Heinous amounts of damage.
It is a little bit less good because it doesn't get sustained hits.
But it still can get access to +1 ballistic skill and AP.
And AP, yeah. It still shoots a lot of shots. And it punches really hard. And it infiltrates in this list, so it's an amazing midfield board presence unit.
Yep, and that's exactly where it starts. Then we have the Centurion Devastators. And
this is the sauce of the list.
You look at the profile and you're like, okay, it's a handful of las cannon shots. It's a couple extra Centurion missile launcher shots. It's a slow-moving thing. But that's where having Deep Strike and being in the Vanguard makes it playable.
So what John does is every turn he picks it up and he Deep Strikes it, not like in the middle, but in the very far corner where you can draw just the tiniest little bead down, because all their guns are like 48 inch range. And then he pays the CP for +1 ballistic skill, +1 to hit, and they already have full reroll to hit natively. So hitting on 2s rerolling, wounding on 3s rerolling, it's AP4.
Yeah, they reroll once to hit natively.
If you're on an objective, they have full rerolls to hit natively. But they hit on 2s. So 2s, real 1s is full rolls. Additionally, those missiles are blast. So we saw a lot in the finals when John went into CSM 6 times. Is into a lot of the really popular cultist bricks. The Centurions are like, 63 shots, +24.
Gone.
Yeah.
This is the Vanguard is what makes this work. And I've seen other lists not run the full 6-man, more MSU, but the 6-man makes the efficiency of the strats that much more powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Company Hero unit.
This unit is incredible.
For 95 points, you get a bunch of super durable bodies, and Uriel Ventress just sits in here.
Yeah.
And this is your, okay, I've sent out my first handful of waves. We've traded out a lot of pieces. Now you don't have anything to deal with this.
Yeah. They're 4 wounds each. They're -1 to wound. They're Space Marines. There's like annoying.
So you can armor contempt.
They hit harder than they should because each guy has like 5 attacks. And then there's like the Company Champion is like a bunch of attacks at AP3 damage 2. And then there's Uriel Ventress with the sword or whatever. The Banner gives him +1 AC. The Heavy Bolter is damage 3 with sustained touch 2.
Yep. It's just a fantastic package. Now, you do want a captain has to go in there.
Yep.
But
you want to take Uriel Ventress anyway because he teleports the Centurions around. So it's just it gives Ventress a home and makes an awesome unit.
Yep. Then I believe there's 2 Eradicator squads,
Yep.
and this was kind of the tech John was debating beforehand, get like the Lieutenant with the 2nd Vect.
Yep.
Or whether to go for double Eradicator, and he said double Eradicator was 100% the correct choice because against CSM and those type of transport-heavy armies, he needs to be able to reliably pop the transport.
And 3 Eradicators should really do it.
Before activating his other big activations, and they do it. Then we got 6 Inceptors with Plasma, 6 Inceptors with Plasma, and 3 Inceptors with Bolters. This is the threat that is always looming over you in your own half of the board. Is
15 Inceptors going to drop down and table you.
They can come 3.1 away. It is nightmarish to deal with, and most armies don't have the 12-inch bubble of you can't come in from reserves. Very few armies are running it, since GSE has kind of fallen off from one of the top armies.
Yeah.
That type of tech, even if you do have it, isn't automatic to run. But against Inceptors, you really need something like that. Otherwise, your backfield just gets dominated.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can just come in 3.1 away onto an objective, contest it that way, or your opponent doesn't put anything on an objective and doesn't point any guns at it. All of a sudden, boom,
Bam, rapid ingress.
They touch the objective. Now he's getting a ton of primary points.
Also, Inceptors shoot really hard.
They shoot fantastically hard because they're also twin-linked, and
blow up
they have
knight
pistol
spinners,
too, so they can shoot into combat, even if you tag them to stop them from going back into reserve with Vanguard. Just an awesome unit. Really good breakdown there.
And then I believe it's 3 squads of scouts.
Yep, 3 squads.
There's a reason a lot of these Space Marine lists are running scouts. Scouts are just incredible.
Infiltrate scout, tons of board pressure, and they're pretty...
Go back into reserves.
They're annoying to kill, too.
They're annoying to kill. They're 2 wounds each. You get like a sniper rifle and a missile launcher or whatever. They're just really good.
And then finally, the Calidus Assassin, there for more mission play, but also a Vect.
Yes.
Because Chaos Space Marines want to be re-rolling full rerolls to hit and wound every time, and making it more expensive can slow their roll on that. All right. And then finally...
Last, a list.
The winner himself. Congratulations, Mr. Manny Chima.
Played some awesome games into a whole lot of awesome people.
He played a lot of games.
I don't envy him at all.
No, I'm sure he's just
a list that
sneaky.
I want to hate, but love how brutally efficient it is. I personally think that this was the best list at the event.
It was a list tailored for the meta.
Yeah,
He's been playing an archetype like this for several events. He's been playing in the UKTC events and a variety of other ones, and been refining it every single time.
This list is just honed to a razor's edge. I read it and I was like, man, I can't beat that.
And this is the power, sometimes Manny in previous seasons has switched factions to different things as new books have come out, but he's stuck with this faction, and then he's kept refining his list to fit the playstyle that he thinks is the most effective, and you see that working.
Yeah.
Testament to how that works. All right, so we've got Triple Lord here.
Yep, just a pretty standard package. Those guys, if you haven't been hit by them, they will bonk you on the head real good.
Yeah, huge bonks.
Yeah.
Then we got the Dark Communes. These things go in the Accursed Cultists, which we'll get to. Legionary units. These are the OC2.
I really love the inclusion of these Black Legion, these Legionary units, because they're Slanesh. They can advance and charge. They're an incredible unit. They're OC2, and they have full rolls to wound natively against units on objectives. So, like, if someone put trash, 5 Warp Spiders, 5 Hawks, 5 Scouts, 5 Idiots on these guys run out and go kill them, no problem.
The thing a lot of CSM players were finding was that, okay, trash opponent unit is on objective. Do I, and I can't get my, one Forge Fiend that's starting on the table to get line of sight to it, what do? Do I bring in Obliterators to deal with this? Now I'm wasting an activation, might even have to burn indirect. And then I might, or on the other hand, I have to trade 5 Chosen and a Lord to do this.
Yeah.
Or I don't deal with it and now I fall behind. So this is exactly what that's trying to help.
John McArdell gifting 50 art over
John McArdell, absolute hero. We love you. Thank you so much for gifting those 50 subs. You are a hero as always to us, and we really appreciate it, and you sharing our community with a lot of other new people. So if you were gifted a sub by Mr. John McArdell, make sure you accept it from YouTube so you get all the members' benefits. But every single time, John McArdell.
Thank you, John.
I have a big John McArdell bobblehead on my bedside, and I pat it to sleep every night. Thank you.
All right.
We got a couple more things left in this list. We've got Chaos Rhino, Chaos Rhino, Chaos Rhino. So 3 Rhinos. We've got 3 units of Accursed Cultists.
These
max
things are
unit.
so annoying. Advance and charge, they regrow, there's 5 up invulns, 6 up feel no pain. If you shoot a big gun at them, then put it on the 1 wound guy. They shoot a little gun at them, you put them on this 3 wound guy. It's just like the worst.
Got an invul and a feel no pain.
They hit really hard too.
And they heal back in both command phases.
Yes.
So
you can regrow onto objectives.
They can wrap things. They can prevent his rhinos from being wrapped. There's a lot of... I like big units.
Yeah, they're just really good.
I like big units.
They're also OC2.
Yeah, they definitely are OC2.
They're just really good.
So then we got Chosen 5-man. Chosen 5-man.
Chosen 5-man.
So
standard. Gonna murder you, and then a Forge Fiend and a unit of Nurglings.
Yep, solo Forge Fiend. It is undivided, not Nurgle, so that you can just get that max damage activation as needed.
Yep.
No obliterators here. Just going for pure efficient board control. Good trade pieces with the melee combat. And then one shooting piece to really make sure you finish something off.
Yeah, I will say the Accursed Cultists are really good in Eldar right now because we don't have the volume to kill them. We don't have any.
It's like Necron Warriors.
Yeah, same exact.
But they hit way harder. This is like a Necron list. If the old Novak style existed, where your combat units are you just a lot of efficient combat units with board control.
Yes. So congratulations again to Manny for winning the World Championships. Congratulations to everyone on this list who played their heart out, and we had a lot of really awesome competition. It was one of the most enjoyable events of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much, everybody who traveled over internationally. It was amazing to see everybody. And hopefully next year we get even more international representation because there's so many great players out there, and everybody, from those countries deserves a spotlight.
Yeah. So you want to go ahead and hit all the super chats?
Let's go ahead and go through these.
If you go to fan funding at the top there, you can
Let's go ahead and see what we got here.
Right.
All right. So I remember I started over here. So from John Apocalypse, is there any good fixed mission that works really good with Tau, or should I just stick with tactical? Playing against Blood Angels tomorrow. Personally, I almost always go for tactical, and the reason is that Tau love having extra CP.
Yes.
If you have to discard a card, it's not the end of the world, especially in the early game, because you get a nice extra CP, and that is a big deal for Tau because you want to do a 2 CP strike and fade, and you want to have the option to do another play somewhere. And I always found that it's more effective. And on top of that, it's also the case where if your opponent usually is taking fixed against you, bring it down, teleport homers. If you are playing very cagey and forcing them to do something, at some point they're going to look and be like, my bring it down score actually isn't that good. I really have to step on the gas here. And that's when all of a sudden it's already Kauyon. They step on the gas and you absolutely destroy them.
Yeah.
So tactical lets you just keep playing around the outskirts of the board and doing all sorts of things without having to worry too much about the points in the early game, which I also like. We got here's Horus, there's Horus, everywhere's Horus. Thank you so much for the super chat. Good to see Siegs. Hope you're feeling better. Thanks so much. Hopefully I will be feeling better by the end of this week.
Yep.
Zlack Onion with a $5 super chat. Want to speculate wildly about AdMech based on recent previews? Nope. I have not been honestly keeping up with too much of the reading. I know that there have been articles in the Warhammer community, but I will definitely read those when I just have a bit of a breather.
Yeah.
And my eyes begin functioning again.
You need to recalibrate your optics.
I need to recalibrate my Omni specs. Then we got Zlack Onion, member for 23 months with the gold tier. Thank you so much. You are a hero. Thank you for sticking with us for so long. And same question about Necrons. Don't worry. As soon as information comes out, I will be doing plenty of stuff on Necrons and AdMech. I love both of those factions.
I did.
And I'm excited.
I did manage to read the Warhammer community article this morning, and the teleporting Necron seems really fun.
Ooh, there's teleporting.
Teleporting
I love teleporting. All right, so we will dive deep on that. Don't you worry. We got 4K Quarterly with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. First, Richard, hope you're feeling better. Thank you so much. Is it true that AOW cloned Jack Harpster? His name's Jackster. How did the clone come out bald, but with excessive body? We see a Quentin clone next, and if so, when?
So the secret you guys don't know is actually there is a Quentin clone. There's one with pink hair. He's working on PowerPoints right now. I'm the blue-haired one that,
I feel like the clone is actually just his normal Quentin hair. I don't even know if you remember what your normal hair looks like, but...
it's been a couple years.
Yeah. That's what the clone looks like. So if you ever see a normal looking Quentin, don't trust him. Then we got Zlack Onion with $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Are we gonna get a multiverse speculation match of Richard versus John's World List? I know we want to play that one. I don't know if we'll have time to due to the holidays coming up, but in the future we definitely will get that on stream.
Yep.
Don't worry.
Nick Blackburn, welcome to the Warhammer Gold. Thank you so much for your support.
And then Bonsai Nurgle Shaman, thank you so much for the super chat. Mono Nurgle thoughts, troop spam, or monster mash?
Oh boy.
Mono Nurgle, that's tough.
I think you go 54 Nurglings.
you probably do have to spam Nurglings. And the Great
drones,
Unclean one with the 4-up.
And the Plague Drones and Plague Bears.
It's definitely tough. The army is a little too slow.
Yeah.
And doesn't have that redundancy. It just doesn't do enough damage either. It has a lot of problems to play Mono Nurgle. If you want to play a Nurgle-heavy army, Death Guard is the strongest way to play Nurgle right now.
I completely agree. Death Guard, I think, is a legitimately effective competitive army.
Yep. If you want to play Nurglish stuff.
Yeah.
But pure Nurgle demons, definitely tough.
John McArdell with a $20 super chat. Thank you, John.
Feed
Quinton.
Feed the Quinton.
Quinton Food Fund.
We were feeding him WTC caliber Europeans.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cutting my way through those guys.
But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this one. Like I said earlier, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends about us. All of that massively helps us. And in addition, if you want to leave a comment below letting us know which list you really enjoyed, and if there were ones that we didn't mention here, there were a lot of amazing lists and a lot of interesting ones, so feel free to spotlight some other players, especially from your local region. If we didn't get to them, we would really appreciate that.
All right. Well, have a wonderful day, and we will see you guys later.
Yep, we got a stream game coming up tomorrow. We got the holidays coming up, but lots of content coming in the War Room, like the World Leaders Masterclass series, as well as a bunch of games. I think there's a Tau vs. Space Marines game coming out, but it might be against the Iron Storm, not the Vanguard, but we will try and get that one.
Lexi 157, multiple Death Guard Chaos Lord abilities stack. No, they don't. Abilities with the same name don't stack. So you get one Lord. You get like multiple bubbles of it, but you only get the one mortal proc.
We really appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you very soon for more content. So long for now.
Bye.